There you are. It's rather rude of you to keep a lady waiting. I'll forgive you, though. It gave me a chance to dip into my notes about the Circle of Archmagi. One does not simply waltz into an Archmage's domain unprepared. Tell me, dearie, how much do you know about Reengrim? Oh, it's so exciting, isn't it? Hopefully, we'll even get to keep all our limbs. The Circle of Archmagi are the most powerful magical beings in Eora. Whatever the reason, the fact that she's here at all is significant. Oh, Aldra's titties. The Circle sent the Archmage of Terror. Oh, she's just brilliant. What's not to admire? There's no one in all of Eora like her. And she's come all this way to Nakukubel. But I've no idea why an illusionist would care for godless artifacts. Yours truly excluded, of course. There must be something in there of interest to Reengrim. Probably something powerful. I knew I liked you, darling. I'll be with you every step of the way. Those Steel Garrote bastards stole all my research about the Godless. They'll get to the garden first over their dead bodies. I can show you the way to Reengrim's domain, but we should travel lean. The less of us there are, the less likely she'll take notice. You'll need me to get you in the door, so who's staying behind?
Naturally. Just don't do anything I wouldn't do. Really, though, that would be dangerous. We'll catch up later, Yatsli. Take care of the envoy for me.
Perfect! Oh, this is going to be fun.
Okay, let's see. Side quests. Let's get out of here. Since we're already here, let's try to find the graffiti.
Don't forget your friend Daiko and his completely legal package that you said you'd pick up.
One moment.
amazing biome.
Oh, hello there. I thought up. As you can see, the good people of Thirdborn have welcomed us with open arms. Remarkable under the circumstances. The Dream Scourge has struck this place with violence, bloodshed, death. Not as combatants, perhaps, but as researchers. Though our work is slow, it shows promise. Now that we're under Thirdborn's protection, my animancers can get back to work. We've made a few improvements to the local fishing gear, tinkered on harpoons and the like. You might not believe it, but some of our farming equipment is back to working order. No, the ecosystem is too unpredictable. We're going back to the old ways. Inefficient though they are. Though it is difficult to farm when one is under attack, eh? The sheer numbers of infected makes our work perilous. One more thing before we're parted again. We've made a tidy profit of our labor, and the others gathered a little something for you. Don't spend it all at once. Go on, then. Surely you have better places to be? No doubt the Aedyr and envoy has a message to deliver, or a foreboding parcel of some kind.
Quilici certainly looks happier here than in the Stair. As happy as he can be without me causing trouble.
One moment. Sometimes they have fruit from the dead fire here.
was forced entry. Ooh, that.
Oh, let me guess. My Nikai sent you. That kid's been muttering about sending some new hero by. Damn child won't stop hovering over me. They keep trying to send so-called heroes over to cheer me up, but there's not much point these days. Back when Thirdborn was no more than a husk on the cliffside, we had real heroes. I've slain 1,000 Zorips, wrestled rock beetles, even slew the Leviathan. And a fair wind, too. What a legend it is. I had but a few harpoons and a single boat that morning. It had taken days to track the creature. My food and water were running out. When I found it, the beast heaved itself up from the water and crashed down onto me. And there, I thrust a harpoon deep into its belly and killed it. Oh, it took days to tow its body back on the flotsam of my boat.
Seems reasonable. Except for the part with the harpoons and the Leviathan dying.
Ah, well, those days are long past. I'm a sick old man now. No, still, maybe Chico was onto something when they sent you. You're the one who cleared the dream thralls at the gates, aren't you? Ah, good to know someone is looking out for Thirdborn at least. I tell you what, this old man would like to ask a boon of you. One hero to another. I promise it'll be worth your while. I want to see my heart one last time. Will you get it for me? Oh, good, good. A Leviathan heart is a rare thing. When left out in the air, it becomes as hard as Aedyr, and 100 times as valuable. And I had the only one in the living lands. I couldn't just leave it on my kitchen table now, could I? No, I kept it safe, hidden up in the godless ruin along the coast. But now, I'm dying. I can feel it in my bones. I don't have long, and I'd like to see my treasure one more time. Get it for me, and I'll see you get a reward. Beyond that, well, I left that old ruin with a few tricks for would-be thieves. Step carefully.
Regular traps I can handle. It's the ones that glow and hum that I can't deal with.
Good luck, godlike.
One moment.
Just this fish.
Godlike.
Yeah.
One moment.
I could just as easily be leading us in a circle.
Funny seeing you here.
Who needs fabric? We still have stock. Oh, you're back. What can I... Have stopped. Who needs fabric? We still have stock. Fabric. We still have stock. Who needs fabric? We still have stock.
One moment. Looks like we're on the right track.
Northwest out of town, past the dry lake bed.
Well, at least we know where we're going.
How do you feel about poetry?
Poetry? Why the hell are you asking me about poetry?
Do you like it? Come on. Tell me. Say if you like it.
Wait.
Careful with that thing.
Another fragment in. This thing's just getting warmed up.
Let's see. When all of this is behind us, are you going... back to Fiomis again?
It's hard to imagine leaving forever, especially with Quilichi still there. Well, what about you, dear?
Even if I could go back, it wouldn't be the same. Who knows? Maybe getting banished was the best thing that's happened to me in a while.
Maybe Fior was holding you back. And you can return one day to rub all your success in their faces.
You're too kind to me, Yatsli.
seeds of change. Their petals sprout across the barren land. They sing to the unwanted ones, and the unwanted ones sprout in turn. The soil remembers what it once was. It will soon be whole, safe. The soil does not want these cities. It yearns for silence, for the kestrel song. But first, the sprouted ones will grow. They will bring the stillness and the birdsong. The air was not meant for voices. The soil was not meant to carry buildings. We want all of them gone. We wish for life to flourish again. Efforts paid in blood, they lie to the earth, to themselves. Death nourishes the soil. All things come from the rot. The dead bear nourishes the pack. We ponder. Dream of shifting sands now. We will speak again.
Check with the merchants.
I still have a few things.
For the camp of an official Aedyr and envoy, I was expecting a little more. A proper bed, at least. But I suppose this will do for now. As long as you have a bath, of course. When the mood is right, I find I like everything. I'm going to write Quilici tonight. Make sure he misses me. But, as riveting as it is to complain about our accommodations, I imagine you have another topic in mind? I'm the only buyer you'll find here, and I already have the jar. A lesson for next time, darling. It's always worth some haggling. Unfortunately, it's been quite some time since I've met another who focused on the godless as I do. And I imagine I'd be more knowledgeable on the subject than anyone else you could find. Technically, yes. Well, it set me on the path, at least. When I got my first grimoire as a child, I was trying out some of the fancy new spells I'd been given. I was attempting a simple illusion spell, but I must have slurred my words. The next thing I know, everything was on fire. I mean, my arm wasn't the only casualty. What is childhood but for silly things? When else can you get away with arson? My father was able to pull me from the flames as my mother doused them. I burned myself badly enough to give myself some vivid dreams, but the house still stood at the end. Just the usual things. Not studying for an exam, having all your teeth fall out. They're not nearly as enjoyable as my more provocative dreams. Oh. Well, just be sure to have a quick release knot if you ever make that fantasy reality. Someone should learn from my mistakes. I certainly have no intention to.
Goodness, we're feeling very honest today, aren't we?
As delightful as you are, we've much to do and less time to do it in. Shall we go?
What's that fragrance you're wearing?
Ambergris, from the guts of a dead leviathan. Why, do you like it?
Well, don't get me wrong, I like it fine. But
Thirdborn. If it weren't for the leviathan skeleton in the middle of town, I'd hardly recognize the place. Well, that's what I'm trying to nail down. You ever come back to a place and feel like the buildings are smaller and the colors are duller? Then you get it. Thirdborn was always this rugged oasis. Dangerous and out of the way, but bursting with vitality. It was a harbor for larger-than-life types. People like Capo, the Leviathan Slayer, and Tama. Glory seekers, trophy hunters, warriors trying to leave their battles behind. People who built around their stories and their scar. I guess it felt like one, too. Hardtack and Merc brew after a long day's patrol tasted better than any feast. Being back. It felt like we were watching Thirdborn die a slow death. Yeah, but I thought age was supposed to bring wisdom. Something to balance out the back pains and creaky knees. I think what's eating at me is that Thirdborn seems rudderless. The Dream Scourge is one threat. Conflict with Aedyr is another. The Living Lands is changing, and Thirdborn feels like a barnacle on a movie. Temerity's leading them as best she can, but towards what? What are we doing out here besides For a while, I suppose. Eventually, you need more. What about you? You were sent by your emperor to investigate the Dream Scourge. Since then, you've died, met a secret god, and gotten swept up in tensions between your empire and our scattered settlements.
Between releasing Egwolf and thwarting the Steel Garrote and Emerald Stair, you've opposed your Empire's interests. Do you know what you're sailing towards, or are you drifting with the tides? And it's nice to know I'm in good company. Thanks for talking. I hope Thirdborn is able to find its way somehow. A marker of his service to Thirdborn's defense, and something that helps his comrades identify his remains, if needed.
You always hope it won't come to that.
You hope it won't, but you know it might. It's an old Rauatayan naval tradition that Thirdborn's kept alive, and another debt I owe him. The story goes that a lot of the first arrivals were Rauatayans without other prospects, too low on the ladder to take over the family trade, too poor to learn another. Exactly. Rauatai's an inhospitable environment, to say the least, so my people have a proud tradition of seeking our fortunes elsewhere. Rauatai's got a big navy that always needs fresh blood, and there are plenty of opportunities for large, colorful mercenaries and bodyguards all over Aedyr. Of course not. We've also got poets, artisans, scholars, traders, you name it, just like anywhere else. But they're not the ones who built Thirdborn. It started as a convenient harbor for bold or desperate fishing crews from Rauatai would follow seasonal catches out here. That tells you something about the people willing to attempt it. Over time, those early arrivals built huts, a proper harbor, and walls to protect them from all the hungry things in the desert. Well, that brought in a steady trickle of veterans, ruffians, trophy hunters, and rugged eccentrics. People looking for fresh adventure, or running from the consequences of their old ones. Your words, not mine. I've got a lot of memories here. And the longer I stayed away, the harder it felt to come back. Harder than I thought. Thirdborn's missing a lot of familiar faces. And the youngsters who've grown up and the new arrivals, they seem like they're cut from a different cloth, a more delicate one.
This plague is tearing everything apart at the seams. Healing may take years, if not generations.
Maybe you're both right. Thirdborn's only survived because the people were tougher than the wilds. I just hope the people living behind those walls know how to keep up. Where to start? It's a huge desert full of sandy wastes, canyons, and highlands. On a clear day, you can stand at one of the overlooks to gaze straight across the Great Sand Sea and see Yeah. It's dangerous and stark. A lot like Rauatai, but in a different way. Sandstorms, instead of... Guess that's part of what I liked about it. Familiar, but different. Night, envoy.
The Dream Scourge is getting worse. First our land, then our animals. Now our people. If we don't put a stop to it, we're looking at the end of the living lands. How can anyone expect us to do both? As if the Dream Scourge wasn't enough of a problem, the Aedyrians are profiting off our misfortune. They haven't come to help us. They're here to exploit our weakness. We thwarted her in Emerald Stair. Maybe we can do it again. It's too bad. We're fighting for our lives, our souls, and our freedom. I don't know if we can win all three. You really think so? My apologies for acting cynical, but it feels as if nature, politics, and even the very gods are working against us. I don't appreciate being backed into a corner, but here I am. Despite everything that's happened, I'm so grateful to be working with Yatsli. In many ways, Quilichi has been like a second father to me. But Yatsli, she's like my dirty aunt who's up to no good. As long as you don't feed her after midnight. She gets gassy, temperamental, and somehow it's your fault. While I have your attention, I've been thinking. Why is Inquisitor Ludwig suddenly interested in godless ruins? She's a smart one, I'll give her that. We should be ready for anything. Something tells me Ludwig isn't finished with us yet. Until next time.
Listening to Yatsli's thoughts about godless ruins is one thing. Bringing her along for the rest of the trip is something else. I don't know, she's alright, okay? But how would she know how to get to the garden? If she's read anything about the garden, it was written centuries ago. Obviously, things have changed since then. Bothered? Pedraku. It's my job to guide you as safely as possible. What you're doing isn't safe. I'll go along with whatever you decide. Just don't be disappointed when she doesn't show you what you wanted to see. Anyway. Ask away. What else is there? No idea. What you see out there is what you get. What do you need? Let's see. It gets cold out here at night. I always make a fire in camp, and no matter how hot it is during the day, I always keep a blanket. I like to camp on a hill or plateau if I can, because even the slightest bit of rain can cause a flash flood. You'd be surprised how many people drown in Scattersharp. Nothing's prepared for rain out here, especially the land itself. Though if you don't drown, your water problems are pretty much solved, so there you go. Right, changing the subject. Thanks for talking.
Oh, Envoy, might I steal a moment of your time? Well, it's the waiting that makes the payoff so delicious, don't you agree? Look, I lost more research than I'd like to count, but Fiora and its people are safe. That's what matters. Thank you, Envoy. I don't know how you managed it, but whatever you did, you averted disaster. That being said, your ambassador is going to get an earful, and possibly a fistful, next time we're in Paradise. That's what happens when you're the breadbasket of the living lands. Sometimes things get stale. At least we were able to get everyone to safety. Though with everything happening in Thirdborn, safe might be relative. At least I know Temerity will keep an eye on them. I think she knows what'll happen if she doesn't. I know, and she knows. Let's leave it at that. Long enough that I trust her to do her best by everyone. You see, Emerald Stair has Naku Tedek. For a young and aspiring godless scholar, it was a godsend, if you'll forgive the pun. And, as a young at heart godless scholar, I've traveled outside the stair to other ruins. That's how I met Temerity. Thirdborn's close to Naku Kubel. And a girl's gotta eat sometime. In fact, there are. But I'd spent the better part of my childhood in them. I had to go out and find new ruins to get lost in. I still go out often. I've catalogued many ruins, but there are always more. And coming home to a warm welcome is lovely. You should try it sometime, darling. Oh, part of it is my sparkling personality, of course, but a larger part of it is time. It's hard to hate someone when they drop by your lab with lunch after you've forgotten to eat again. As much as I'd love to, you don't travel with the kitchen. I can't promise anything. My mother always said that the way to a man's heart was through his stomach. Quilici and I got together the old-fashioned way, though. I saw a beautiful man across a smoky tavern. Then I dazzled him with my delightful personality. Then he showed me an abandoned ruin outside of town, and I was hooked.
Are you joking? He's my mentor. Not to mention 1,000 years old.
Oh, no. They're both handsome humans, of course. But Giada is like family to both Quilici and me. He taught her a lot of what he knows. She spent days in our home. Literal 26-hour days. It's hard to believe that things have changed so much recently. Any sense of safety just went poof. It makes you wonder how everything will turn out. Me? Well, I suppose that's an option. I'd need help, of course. But I'd at least ask for it. Huh. I'll think on it. Maybe it'd be a nice retirement plan for Quilici and me.
Governor Yatsley. I like the sound of that.
Thank you, Envoy. I feel a little less frazzled. I've got a lot to think on. Talk to you soon? Try not to have too much fun without me. How can I help, darling? Careful what you wish for, darling. So, the Godless, or the Akida, as they called themselves, were the original folks who lived in the Living Lands. They arrived on the shores of a new land and settled there, living with the land instead of trying to tame it. Well, that's a bit harder to explain. The Godless are so singular. Their art and architecture, you never see it in Rawatai or Ishamatul or, well, Aedyr. But in their artwork, they reference escaping, fleeing, seeking refuge, so they must have come from somewhere. My guess, they originally came from Yesua. Yesua, a continent, cut off from the rest of the world, hidden by eternal storms, one of the 3 hubs of the Angwithan Empire. 10 years ago, you could say it wasn't real, that it was a dream, but they said the same of Ukaiso. Suddenly, the appearance of a mythical land doesn't seem so implausible. There was some kind of schism, an ideological one. From what I can glean, the Godless were staunchly against the gods, hence their name. There are even some not-so-kind murals of the gods. It seems like the Godless really took their anti-theism seriously. I know. Well, I think we've covered everything, don't you? Rather, as much as I think you'll withstand. Hope you enjoyed talking about this as much as I did, dearie. How can I help, darling? Well, I suppose you've earned that much. And I do enjoy rewarding tenacity. Though between your dreams and mine, it's a wonder anyone gets any sleep around here. You remember that I nearly burned my family home down when I was young? It was an accident, and I paid for it. My parents refused to buy me more spellbooks for years. Well, shortly after all that fuss, the dream began. It started at first with a fire, just flames crackling, and a feeling of safety. I thought it was a little weird, but nice. But then the dream kept coming back, night after night. I learned more every time. I saw that it was a fire in a hearth, and that hearth was in an old library. I assumed it was a library, at least, to explain why there were so many tablets lining the walls. Oh, everything from dry historical recountings to treatises on agricultural techniques. No romances, though. Whoever filled the library must have been allergic to them. No, never actively. I had read them all previously, if that makes any sense. That's actually how I learned the Aedyr language. Just woke up with that knowledge, which is very useful when you can find no written records. In the library, there's just one person, but they're wearing a hood, so I never see them. They do the same thing every night. They curl up in a chair by the fire, hold a tablet to their chest, and then the fear comes. The paralyzing, all-encompassing fear of something. Just the noise. A low, deep banging starts, and it rattles through your bones and shakes you to your core. And it replaces the beat of your heart with this droning on and on and on until you forget every other sound you've ever heard.
A beat. A beat. Steel feet on the shore. They come by night.
And then, as it just gets louder and louder, and right before it gets there...
You've been listening to too many of Giada's ghost stories.
And let me tell you, waking up in a cold sweat does nothing for my fur. How sibilant. No. Just that it's all-encompassing. It's strange. I've not told many of the details of my dream. I suppose I must like you quite a bit, Envoy. Don't let it inflate your ego too much. You know, Envoy, we've traveled enough that I think I've gotten a handle on your style. Style of fighting, I mean. Your fashion sense is more... opaque. I could probably teach you a thing or two, if you're up for it. What do you say? How about I show you a little bit of everything? What? Out of breath already? Talk to one of the boys. See if they can help with your stamina, dear. Well, I've taught you all I can. Let's hope you put it to good use.
When I joined you, I thought we'd be exploring the intersection of the physical and the spiritual, not bickering over sulfur. Yet here we are. Thanks to you, Thirdborn will have all the ammunition they need to defend themselves. In theory. At the end of the day, bullets are of limited use against the Dream Scourge. And it'll take more than gunpowder to wrest the living lands out of your Empire's clutches. Still, Maybe a little gunpowder is better than none at all. Anyway, what do I know? I'm an animancer, not a strategist. If I must.
I suppose if you're on a wild goose chase, there are worse places to do it. I probably know a lot about this place that you don't. It's rough, but it's very survivable. Yatsley's got you going in all sorts of abandoned ruins. Who knows what's down there? More questions, most likely. And spiders. Nothing, I'm fine. Forget I said anything. I just want to make sure we've covered all the options before we dive headfirst into another deadly ruin. No idea. I just wish I trusted Yatsley's research. Seems like a lot of danger for not much payout. I'm sure we'll be fine. I just hope this is all worth it. Anyway. You too.
How did you and Quilici meet? For some reason you...
Do you think those Aedyrians were onto something? Or were they onto something before you ended their studies? Do you think they could have cured the Dream Scourge? I think it was worth a try, at least. I just hope we made the right decision. Well, we'll just have to see how it all shakes out, won't we? Had you left them to their own devices, who knows what we would have gained? A cure might sound far-fetched, but what if they found treatments for the Dream Scourge, and even other ailments? But our loss, I suppose. Well, that's all I had to say. I'll let you get back to whatever you were doing. Unless there's something else you want to chat about? How can I help, darling? These sudden changes in climate always mess with my coiffure. Does Aedyr have good fur maintenance products? Do you have a contact for that? Unfortunately, your clumsy countrymen ruined my entire stock of ointments when they were trying to burn my house down. And I'll remember that comment. Truly, just a good long brushing through all my fur alone would do wonders. I've got some time before we see Quilici again, at least. It'll give me time to find something to remind him of what he's missing. In life, you make your own entertainment. I enjoy scandalizing the small-minded when I can. Quilici and I got used to the stairs early on. Thankfully, at least in Fjord, those stopped eventually. After 30 years, it's hard to still be surprised by us just drinking at the Magpie. Oh, she was still young. Quilici offered to help her study for and prepare her thesis as a favor to her parents. She was over day and night for months, and, well, now she's family. All things considered, it's hard to complain about my life in Fjord. No, of course not. No one is perfect, but I forgive him many vices. Like, he sleeps with his socks on.
You two are adorable, you know that?
You're too sweet. As much as I enjoy our little chats, dearie, we should really get going. Oh, but if you do end up finding any liniments, be sure to help a girl out. Sweet dreams, envoy.
Where did you learn to hunt?
Early on, I learned.
Singing sand, we feel the essence seep from the ruins. The teeth and the dunes roll before us. We have questions still. A lion kneels, a blight before it, spells and suspicion at its back. What ruled the land alone now seeks the safety of the pride. A crystal shimmer, friend or hunter? Let it in and see. We feel the people of Thirdborn huddle together in the dark. We smell desperation, panic. Then, the seasons change. They turn to each other. The rose does not depend on the moss to survive. We look deeper. Our limbs sift through sand. What do you know of this? For years, we watched the Aedyr share their food and tie their hands. Gifts, promises. Why do they undertake these rituals? The tide recedes from one land, it washes the shores of another. Do its waves sing to you? A bird in flight, a stag runs free. We knew this one. New leaves. A bush unfurls amid the suffering and strife and blooms. Nothing should... How can it sprout? Four arms build together. A fence made stronger. Peace restored. We have learned much. Dream of shimmering scales as you rest.
Trespassers! Quiet.
Who goes Courier in the brush? Lights and shadows! Treacherous weed!
That it?
Okay, let's see. Where are the crew members?
What in Remergon's 10 frosty balls are you doing? How did you even find this place? Should I have a reason to be envoy? Ugh, Andra's 8 flopping memories. Of course Nagunu would convince one of the Emperor's goons to come after me. Go on then. Try to kill me. I know that's why you're here. Very comforting, thank you. I knew that old drunk would come looking around eventually. He's been trying to kill me for years. The man's obsessed. That's funny. Now tell me what he really said. What did Taue and Koa say to that? Well, my answer's the same either way. No. I'm sure he put on a good show for you. And shit, maybe he really is lonely. But I have no doubt he's been up in that little lighthouse of his in Thirdborn plotting our demise. So no, I won't share a drink with him, and you can tell him I said so. I knew it! Hold on. How did you find out? That's just his style. He's too much of a coward to come after me directly. Well, there's no fucking way I'm sharing a drink with him now. No, you don't know him like I do. He's done it before. Gave this Juana chief we were negotiating with something that made her shit her pants. The lady accepted his lowball offer and sprinted straight to the head. You mean poison him instead? Yeah. Yeah, I see how that could work. He doses our drinks, you switch the cups, bam! But how do I know I can trust you? The crazy thing is, I actually believe you. You spared that guy who tried to kill you, and saved Fior from the Steel Garrote. You may be the Emperor's envoy, but you're not his dog. Alright, I'll go to the captain's reunion. And when the time comes, you switch the drinks. Got it? See you in Thirdborn, envoy.
One moment.
A meeting spot. Like proof of skill. stick with closed areas first.